Hi again then guys, and so we finally have some news which a lot of you guys have been wondering about, justifiably so. I've been getting tons of questions about, when's the next update coming? Is there any news? Do I think we'll get a new update in June? Well, clearly not, but in July it appears that we are going to, for the moment at the end of the month, for this particular update at least. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that something couldn't happen earlier than this, though don't get your hopes up for that, I wouldn't say. I'm just saying that's a possibility. And this is an interesting teaser because we don't have the silhouettes of cars that we would usually have from Kaz, but he did share on his Twitter this video, it's only about 12 seconds long, of what would appear to be a location rather than new vehicles. And so, understandably so, a lot of people are speculating, myself included actually, that this is much more likely to be teasing a new circuit rather than, for instance, a new location that cars are going to come from, for instance, like a country. Now my first thoughts when I saw the clip, before I looked at the detail, was Mount Fuji. But I don't think it is that. Because for one thing it's not Mount Fuji, but also the track itself has some very clear distinguishing features which make me think that it's one track in particular. Now there is some division between various people who think it could be this track, could be that track. For me, I'm going to go ahead and say I think that they are bringing back Sierra from Gran Turismo 6, the biggest track of the entire franchise, 17 miles long, it's even bigger than the Nordschleife, and it's a great circuit. Now the reason why I say that is twofold. One is the amount of water that is enclosing the track, because of course Sierra has a lot of water inside as well, and you could presume outside. I can't recall if you can actually see outside the track, but it wouldn't surprise me if that track was surrounded by water. A lot of the tracks that are fictionalized have quite a bit of water involved, but also even more specifically than that, towards the left of the track, you can very clearly see the huge white supports of a very long, very large bridge. Now, it's not the only track in the game or in the franchise to have a bridge. Grand Valley also does, but Grand Valley's bridge is no way near that big. So to me, I think that the size of the image, it's a very large area shown in the video, the amount of water involved, and especially that bridge in particular, is a very strong indicator that this could well be Sierra. Now, as far as what else is going to come in the update, well, actually this might disappoint some people, but there are two things that make me think that it might just be a track. And the one thing is that they've chosen to show this video rather than any car silhouettes, which is what they would usually do. But the second thing, which to me is kind of more ironclad, is that if I recall correctly, and I could be wrong, but if I recall correctly, on Gran Turismo 6, when they added Sierra to the game in an update, I don't recall them adding any cars. I think it was just the track with a couple of time trials as well. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was just the track again. Now, of course, that will disappoint a number of people. Myself, that actually isn't a disappointment for me, because I think that at this point, we have been getting a great amount of cars added. Of course, the overall amount of cars in the game still isn't what it was, but we've been getting a good amount added per month. The tracks, on the other hand, haven't been quite as many, or some would say quite as strong. I would tend to agree with the latter part of that, because it's been more variations of tracks that we already have, fictional ones, rather than bringing back fan favourites, be it city courses, original circuits, or even real tracks as well. Of course, we've talked on the channel before about the lack of Laguna Seca, which is surprising. We have the Le Mans back, which is fantastic for cruising, for top speed racing, for typical Le Mans racing. This is that kind of track as well, because Sierra is a super competitive circuit. I love it because long tracks are my favourite, and also it's a fantastic cruise circuit as well. It even has parking spaces next to the track. So if it does turn out to be Sierra, I think it's going to get a lot of use from the community, probably more so now from professional racers, because there aren't as many cruise enthusiasts on the game as there was on GT6, but still, there is that contingency there within the community. So we'll have to see at the end of the month, apparently, what this will involve, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm placing my bets that it is indeed Sierra, and I would not be surprised, and I would not hold your breath, that any cars are added. If they are added, I think it will be a bonus, if indeed it does turn out to be Sierra. But, as I mentioned earlier on, that doesn't necessarily mean that we couldn't get an update earlier than that. But Again, I don't want to get people's hopes up too much, I'm just saying that that could happen. But that's it for this update overall. Of course, stick around on the channel for coverage of any kind of updates like that as well. And for now, as always, thanks for watching.